What's crack-a-lackin', ladies and gentlemen? It is Pastor Keenan with my favorite sidekick, Nick. Nick, man, what's going on? How you doing tonight?
I'm just dreading this horrible weather that's about to hit us in a couple days here in Kentucky.
I love the monotone of every time, man, I come in and I feel like you probably don't remember who Casey Kasem is, man. Probably one of the best DJs that's ever been out there. DJ Casey Kasem, who is also, I'm thinking, a voice of, was it Shaggy? Maybe Scooby. I don't know. You need to do some research in on that. Maybe Google that up, man. You got a phone. It's an Android. I know it sucks, but nonetheless, man. And that's going to lead me into talking about maybe hashtag right here, leaving things behind in 22. Android, leaving it behind.
If you pay me, I'll get an iPhone.
Absolutely. Nonetheless. But that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And before we get into that, I just want to throw out there that you can follow us on a lot of different places. Facebook's at Fruition Church. YouTube is Fruition Church of Hodgenville, which we have doubled our subscribers over the last week or so. Fantastic news there. And my son let me know that we were almost at I think 7,000 views almost, but then he let me know also, Nick, at the same point in time, don't get too high on the hog because those 7,000 views, there was only 2% of people that followed you after the 7,000 views. He's got a way of building me up and then cutting me back down, just like Nick does. But
hey, I mean, to be fair, we were struggling towards the beginning of this year to get 50 subscribers on YouTube.
Absolutely. So
we are at about 143, 144, somewhere around there, and we
can
live stream on YouTube.
Right. So. Absolutely, man. We are getting up there with the big boys now and being able to do all that good stuff, so that's fantastic. So you can check us out on YouTube. You can also check out our website, www.fruitionchurchky.org. That's where it all goes down at. And again, if you want to know any announcements or find out who we are or what our good old ugly mugs look like, you can always get on there and check us out and do all that. And, of course, the Everyday Christian Podcast, man. That's what we do. That's who we are right now. And we're actually sitting inside of the church on the stage looking at empty pews and all of this good stuff after our Christmas play. Man, Christmas play was a fantastic success. And, everything was going good, man. And everything, great message, great time. People done great that participated in it. So, all in all, man, wonderful, wonderful time. And really opens us up, I think, to walk into 2023 with some good momentum, Nick. But we're going to talk about that tonight, just about leaving things behind in 2022, kind of like a year-end review. This is going to be our last episode of 22, and then we're going to take next week to kind of make some subtle changes, whether it be intro music, whether it be kind of some style and format changes, whatever, and then we're going to come out swinging in 23, and hopefully, man, we're going to do just like we did on YouTube and just really just double our downloads and our followers, or what? Do we have followers on that, or no?
It's more just downloads right now.
Downloads, okay. But do we have? Can you look at followers? Is that something too?
I don't know.
Oh man!
We
have
we only have 14 reviews on Spotify. So it's only 14 people are listening on Spotify, but that's not true either. So I don't know.
Right? Yeah. There's just numbers are skewed, man. Numbers are skewed. Don't ever believe a statistic. Numbers are skewed, right? But nonetheless, so tonight, man, we're just going to break down the year 22, move into the year 23, what we can expect, and what some personal goals are, and things like that. So just 22, we were just talking about it before we got started, and 22 has just been such a blur this year. And I know we talk about that more and more all the time, it seems like, Nick, about how the world is moving at such a fast pace and life is moving at such a fast pace. And there's so many different things going on, man. Like it's insane to think about how we're at this point. We are literally just days before Christmas, and I'm still going, is it Thanksgiving yet? Like, have we had, and I said that, I made the comment of I think it's hard to get in the Christmas spirit. I am Mr. Christmas. I am Buddy the Elf. I love Christmas music. I love Christmas lights. I love Christmas trees. I love Santa Claus. I love gifts. I love cookies and milk and all of that good stuff. I love the Christmas spirit. I generally think, for the most part, unless you're in a store shopping or on the road driving, that people are sometimes nicer even around Christmas. I don't know. But I just love the atmosphere of what Christmas is. And somehow or another, it's taken me just within the last 3 to 5 days to actually get in the spirit of Christmas, just because I feel like maybe that this year has moved so fast, and that it feels like mid-October to me. Or mid-November. I'm sorry, not mid-October, but mid-November. Like I feel like that again, Thanksgiving should be coming around the bend, and maybe this Arctic cold blast that you was talking about coming in this weekend, maybe that'll even help get me even more into the spirit. But, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. 55 degrees and raining outside is not really my typical, like, hey, Merry Christmas, you know? That makes me feel like that I just need to watch reruns of my favorite TV show on the couch in jogging pants all day. And that's like a Thanksgiving type vibe, I feel like, you know? But either way, man, how do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about 22, about just the fast-pacedness of everything these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, coming out of the pandemic, I'd say 2022, according to our President Joe Biden, it's over, the pandemic is. Mm-hmm. Some people may argue with that, but I like to think that it's over. I want it to be over, so right. I'm going to say that it's over.
Yeah, well, everybody's catching the flu now, bro.
Yeah, I know. The flu seems to be worse than COVID on some people, so
absolutely.
That's pretty wild. But anyway, it's been a wild year. There's been a lot of change going on this year, a lot of new things starting, a lot of old things ending, a lot of #challenges that we talk about a lot. Right? Well, we might dive into that a little bit later.
Right. Right.
But again, there's just been a lot of change, a lot of different things going on. I've had, God, it's crazy to think about. I've had 3 jobs this year.
I think I've had like 9.
You've had like 9. Several.
Yeah. W-2s are going to be crazy, man.
It's going to be a crazy tax year coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those new 87,000 IRS agents that they've hired is going to be probably in the middle of my taxes like nobody's business in 23. I guarantee.
I mean, we've seen, we've talked about it on the podcast, like the Great Resignation that's happened. So many different people are switching jobs, changing jobs because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired in the same old, doing stuff they hate for little to no pay.
Right.
It's been a crazy year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it has gone by like a blur because there's just been so much change, so many different things happening. We've been busier than I feel like I've ever been in my entire life.
Right.
So I mean, it's definitely like you were just saying. I think I'm still waiting to pick out my Halloween costume, but I think Christmas is in a couple days. So I don't know what's going on.
Dress as an elf, dude. You can knock out it's 2 birds with 1 stone, and you're good to go. But yeah, it's been absolutely insane to me. Just with the challenges, like what you said and talked about earlier, man, it's just like there's been so many, I feel like, mountains to climb this year. And maybe, the people who listen to this, maybe you agree with me. I don't know. Or maybe your life has been smooth sailing this year and you've been fantastic. And I want to come hang out with you because, like, I need a life like that, man. But, like, I feel like it's just been a mountain climb after a mountain climb after a mountain climb after a mountain climb this year. And, you want to make it to that. And I don't know what's so symbolic besides maybe just starting something fresh and new. But, like, if you walk into the new year with the same mindset from 22 or dealing with the same garbage as 22 and things like that, like, I think it's hard to make that fresh new start, and if you're walking into January 1, it's a new calendar and it's a new year and you put 23 on your checks or on your, your signature or whatever.
Well, you'll put 22 for the first month or so.
This is true. Yeah. You'll rip up a lot of stuff and have to reprint it out and sign it again. But if you're still walking in with that same mindset from 22, man, you're still going to be dealing with the same garbage and you're still going to be dealing with the same stuff. And so, I don't know what we do, Nick, as far as what do we focus on, man, to try to get better. I get it. Like, we need to get better in a lot of different areas and things like that. But, like, I guess our mindset has to change. Number one, our focus has to change. And even though the world is getting so fast paced, man, we need to still learn how to slow down at some point and just try to live life a little bit and experience life. And, there's just been some things happen, man, even here recently with like some deaths of people and things like that, that's really made me kind of focus on the fact of that we're not going to be here forever, and we're not guaranteed of tomorrow. And, like, who knows, man? Like, we may not make it through the night. I know that's kind of dismal to think about. But
especially when I'm riding with you tonight.
No, this is true. That's a good point, man. But, hey, if I don't make it, hey, it's been good. You know what I'm saying? And somebody else can worry about my debt. You know what I'm saying? We have to be able to really focus on the things that matter and really get a game plan together as to what we're going to do to try to, I feel like, attack this new year. And I think that's where people call them resolutions, and I've never really said resolution. I've always said like revelation, because resolution is something that you can just literally trip over and suck it up and screw it up and everything else. But revelation, man, is something that you learn from. It's something that you grow from. And so, if we've had just some revelations this year, and I'm going to give you a chance just to talk maybe about one or two of the revelations you've had this year, but if we can take the revelations that we've had and then kind of grow from them and have different mindsets going into 23, I think we can attack 23 in a different way and succeed in 23, right?
Yeah, and I mean, as you were kind of talking about earlier, just trying to learn the difference between, because right before we got started here, it was so hard for me to sit here and try to remember everything that happened at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, we were Googling it, or you were, and you couldn't even find anything.
Yeah, I was like, what happened in 2022? Did everybody just want to forget about it? Because I know sometimes we've definitely felt like just forgetting about what's been going on. But,
absolutely.
But, I think it's pretty crazy to think about, because, I mean, it's that way with a lot of different years. I'll sometimes think about, I did this, last year, but it turned out to be like 3 years ago.
Right.
But, it's hard to think about. And so I think that's why, it's important to take time to slow down and to, look at what worked in 2022 before you try to jump headfirst into 2023.
Yeah.
Because, we live in such a fast-paced world that we think we just want to, attack and attack and attack and keep moving and keep moving and keep moving and keep going and keep going and keep going. But, again, in that process, you may be repeating some of the mistakes that you made in 22 or repeating some of the mistakes you made in the past, however long ago that was. So, I think it is important to stop and to think and to focus and to, try to take inventory of what worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
What did I learn from the challenges that we faced this year?
Yeah.
What have I learned from the changes that have happened this year?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to make sure that you think about it because everybody has those generic resolutions. I think this would be a good topic for our first one in 2023.
Generic resolutions,
yeah,
bro.
Right, there we go.
Absolutely.
Everybody has, resolutions and, I think, it's good. It's good to have. Everybody wants to start off in a fresh slate. There we go.
Yeah,
my dyslexia is kicking
a fresh slate too, man. Yeah.
But everybody wants to start off on that fresh slate. But again, something that I've always thought about, too, and I've heard it said a couple of times, but it's just another month.
Yeah.
Really, in hindsight, it's December going into January.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily 22 going into 23.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
And so, I think it's just just keep doing what has worked. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not. It's just another month in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn from the mistakes of the last 12 months. It may. If you don't want to look at it as a whole another year, and there's a lot of pressure I think involved with that.
It is.
There's a lot of pressure to think I've got to make 23 better than 22.
Right.
I've got to make 20 better than 19. God, that didn't happen.
Right.
But just thinking I've got to make it better. There's a lot of pressure tied up in that.
It is.
And I think and here we go. We're gonna bring a little bit of Christianity into it tonight. But just understanding that no matter what comes your way, no matter what it is that you end up facing, God's going to get you through it. Just like He got you through 22, He's going to get you through 23.
Right.
And He's going to make sure you're not given more than you can handle.
Right.
He's going to have you in His hand. He's going to take care of you. He's going to hold you. He's going to guide you, direct you, protect you, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for us to remember that. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be better, do better. Move faster, move smarter, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do that, but again, also understanding that God's going to take care of you. God's going to take care of your finances. God's going to take care of your health in 23. Just like He took care of you in 22.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that may not be the case for everybody, but just understanding that God is there. God's going to take care of you as long as you're following Him, trusting in Him, relying on Him, leaning on Him,
right.
Rather than on your own understanding. Because you may go into 23 thinking this is the year I'm going to take control of my life.
I'm gonna kill it.
I'm going to kill it. Well, that's
Absolutely.
the exact opposite of what the Bible tells you to do.
Yeah, right, right.
Trust God, listen to Him, let Him take care of your finances, let Him take care of your health.
Yeah.
Just do what you need to do. Don't try to, kill yourself trying to, control everything and make everything better than it was last year. Just trust God that He'll take care of you and He'll provide and He'll multiply your blessings and all that kind of stuff compared to what you experienced in the last year.
Right. I think it's important to understand too that it's just like it's like a one step in front of the other process. It's not something that you're going to wake up on January 1 of 23 and be like, what, I'm going to be 5 steps ahead already in one day. It doesn't work like that. And we have to understand that it's a step-by-step day by day, even sometimes minute by minute process that we get better at. And that we figure out, like you said, we figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then we need to tweak that, and if it works, stick with it. And if it doesn't, tweak it until it does work. Like it's pretty simple applications. It's just that we struggle a lot. I think we struggle a lot doing it because we have so many choices and options out there. It's like, and that's really, we kind of go with what is appealing, and we go with what seems like, it's the new fad, it's the new trend. And we let the world dictate that a lot. If the new trend is, and we always say, this, like in the style world, it always, the fashion realm, it always comes back around. So, bell bottoms were cool in the 70s, and hey, guess what? Bell bottoms were back again. And, just so many different things that were so cool back in the day that it's just going ahead and make corduroy. I can remember corduroy, man. Corduroy pants was like cool back in the day. And then I think back about my 7th or 8th grade year, man, corduroy just popped out again. And it's like, who has those pants? And, it's like things like that I think makes their way back around, and we just jump on the trend train, so many times, and it's like we talk about nutrition. What's the new diet? What's the new diet for 23? We just read it, the Lion diet, so that's a thing, and we're all going to jump on that in 23. And you know what? Like, hey, like what I was talking about, every diet works. It's just, are you going to be consistent with it? The trends of the fashion and stuff. Hey, I guarantee if you hang on to your clothes long enough, they're going to be trendy again sometime or another. You just got to hang on to them, You don't have to go changing all the time. And I agree with what you're saying about the finding it, working it, keep on doing what you're doing. I think we're so involved and obsessed sometimes with finding change and wanting to be changed and be transformed and do something different and be out of the box. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that per se. But at the same point in time, I think we can get so caught up in that it's like we want to be that change, and we want to change, and we want to see the difference, and we want to see the difference, and we want to see the difference. And sometimes we have to understand that, with God, it's a process, and it's not something that sometimes it does happen overnight. Don't get me wrong. God can do miracles in the snap of a finger. But at the same point in time, hey, you know what? If you want to lose 30 pounds, you're going to have to put in the work. It's not like you're just going to wake up one morning and be like, bam, it's gone.
Like the reverse Tim Allen, where he just gained weight overnight.
Right. Yeah, it's not the Santa Claus, bro. It's we're going in reverse with that. So it's a process. If you're going to get out of debt, it's a process to that, unless God wants to just drop somebody off your doorstep, it's going to bless you with a bunch of money.
Please, God.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, that's our prayer shout out 2023, money raining down, Peter Popoff. But either way, like there's a process to everything. There's a step process to everything. And I think if that's one message that we can convey, like, we've been through a lot of garbage this year, man, from January to December. I have physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, in every area of life, been through but and personally, but also professionally as well. So it's like we have to learn that it's been a step and it's been a process, and we have to learn from this and keep going with that. And so I want you to just kind of like take a hurdle, or take a mountain, or take something, a challenge in your life this year, that you can kind of just take for a brief moment and break it down and just talk about how there's been some dire times and some, maybe some crazy times, but you know what? This is what you've learned from it, and this is how you're going to grow better in 23.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that God has worked on me with this year is finances, definitely finances. And I know, I've been dealing with it and struggling with it, all year. Is this job paying it? Of course, we've faced so many different things as a world, as a nation. This year when it comes to finances, whether it be, inflation or,
right.
Shortages or, whatever, gas prices shooting through the roof and not knowing, if you can handle the car that you got or you need to get a different car, or if the
right.
job you have now is going to be able to afford, your car payment on top of the gas increase and all this kind of crazy stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going on, financially in my life. And I guess you could say professionally as well, because, it did drive me to seek out other jobs and seek out other positions. And I think, the one thing that I can take away, and What's crazy is I've known this for a while, but it just keeps getting proven over time and time again. Is that you can try your dangdest and be searching your heart out for another job you think is going to satisfy you, but until God is ready to give you that other job, you're not going to get it.
Right.
And I think that's something that I've definitely seen this year a couple of times. Where I was like, I'm so ready to get out. I'm so ready to do something different. I'm so ready. I need more money. You get in that mindset of you think I need more money, and I think I'm going to take this somewhere in a second. You get in this mindset where you think I need more money because if I don't have more money, I'm not going to be able to control my finances. I'm going to be in more debt. I'm not going to pay off my debt. I'm going to struggle financially. I'm not going to make my car payment. I'm not going to make my bills or this, that, and the other. You're struggling so much because the world is struggling. That pressure just kind of folds on top of you. Time after time again. Especially if you spend all day reading news stories or social media. If you're spending your time around other people who are struggling.
Yeah.
It's very, very dangerous. But again, I'll take you through a little quick progression. I started off this year with a job that really I didn't feel was paying me enough, and I was struggling, of course, at the beginning of the year. Inflation was jumping up, gas prices were jumping up, shortages were going down.
Yeah.
Things were going crazy. And so I was like, for what I've, experienced, the experience I have, the education I have, I just didn't feel like I was quite getting what I was supposed to be getting in order to survive in the world the way that it's moving.
Yeah.
And so, I kept looking and kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. And, again, how I said sometimes you can keep looking for a job and, you're not going to find it until God drops it on your lap. Well, sure enough, a manager of mine dropped a new job on my lap that was going to pay, $5 more an hour.
Yeah.
And God gave me that job. But then when I got that job, I realized I still wasn't all that happy. I had the money, I had a little bit extra money, I was feeling a little bit better financially. But then I did something crazy. I took a job that paid less.
Right. Right.
I trusted God. I spoke to you about it, spoke to other people about it. I prayed about it. And God dropped this job in my lap that I have now as the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce here in LaRue County, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was given that job by a church member who mentioned it here.
Yeah.
And they told me about it. And, I wasn't really expecting or really looking at the moment, for a job, but it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. But then I came upon the, idea of, okay, I'm going to have to trust God here.
Right.
I'm going to be losing a little bit of the money because I got a job that was making more money. Now I'm making a job that was making less money than the first job I had.
Yeah, right.
And so now I'm having to trust God with my finances way more than I ever have before.
Yeah.
And trust that, one day eventually He's going to provide me with, maybe more income, more hours, more money, more benefits, this, that, and the other, that this is going to eventually lead to where God wants me to be at.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I've also doubled my responsibilities, because, I've been more involved with the church. I've started, the youth group, all this sorts of different stuff, a bunch of different stuff piling on top. It's just been a very busy year.
Yeah.
And I've been going through a lot, with the financial aspect of it and trying to trust God more with my finances, trying to trust God to take care of me, to provide for me, all that kind of stuff. That's definitely been a big hurdle that I've been running through this year.
All right,
we're jumping
man.
over.
So that's basically the crash course of the Ramsey finance division of how to save money. You trust God with it, right? Is
exactly.
that it?
You can sell everything you own and buy a clunker car with cash only.
There you go, man.
No
credit, no problem.
Yeah, no credit, no problem. Because if you have credit, you got problems.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So. Yeah, I mean, that's, finances is something I think that everybody struggles with, and we even talked about that in the last service, preaching service of 22, which was on the 11th, and was the fact of that, people don't want to trust God with their money. People don't trust themselves with their money. I mean, to be honest with you, if you want me to really be honest, but because we try to make it make sense and stretch it and whatever else the case may be. But so yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people have struggled with, man. In 22, for me, man, it was just about facing who I was as a person and as a leader, and just trying to grow out of the comfortableness of that, just to confront the, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it always is, this is the way, everything, like, our church, people don't know it, but our church has doubled in size, over this year, and with growth comes challenges, problems, pains, a little bit of everything. It's a wonderful thing. It's a great thing. But whenever you double in size in 6 months and you're just sitting here going, oh my goodness, like, you think nothing changes, but everything changes. Now space becomes a problem. People become a problem. Teachers, who are you going to have do this, and who are you going to have do that, and who are you going to have step in, and who are you going to have do the, and it's like, so you stress that burden, and then, like I told, or like we were joking about it, and I can look back now because, hey, like, God's got me through it, but like I think I changed up jobs like 6 times this year. My secular job that I had for the last 5 years dissolved and the company shut down, just kind of without warning. And it was like, oh, okay, well, what do we do now? Second job I took on, it was going good for a minute, and it's like, oh, I don't think we can handle all of this, so we're going to have to cut you down here. And it's like, there's been opportunity after opportunity, moment after moment where you just I've kind of been like Nick through the process where I've just kind of been like, all right, God, like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like what's going to happen at this point? And, so, just this year in itself, I've really had to just kind of confront and say, you know what? I trust God through the process, and I know God's going to take care of it. And also, Nick, I think, there's that verse in the Bible that says, faith without works is dead. And so there's also a point in a time where we also have to activate, and we also have to step out on faith, and we also have to take some things and be like, you know what, like, I'm not just going to sit around and feel sorry for myself, and I'm not going to sit around and be like, oh, woe is me, and God hates me, and he's the bully up on the top of the mountain just burning me with a magnifying glass, or whatever. Like, there's also a time and a place that you have to take control and say, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to get back up. I still got breath, which means I've still got hope, which means I've still got life, which means I still got a chance. I'm going to make something of it. I'm going to do something of it because, as I've said, there's been so many times this year, and even reminded here just in the last little bit about people passing away like at the drop of a dime and a snap of a finger, and you're like, man, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed the next moment or the next instant of my life. And so, therefore, like, what am I doing? What am I doing to make myself better? What am I doing to try to make people around me better? What am I doing to make my family better? What am I doing? Like, those are things that I don't need a huge paying job. I don't need counseling classes or whatever. I don't need a 5-step process to do those things. I need to self-examine and go, you know what, like, if my kids don't know who I am, that's a problem. So I need to prioritize being home more. That's easy to do. Let's prioritize, And what did we talk about before we got started tonight is priorities. People do what they want to do. And people make decisions off of priorities in their life. And so, therefore, if you're really excelling in one area of your life, then guess what? That is probably priority in your life. If you're sucking at an area in life, it's probably because you're not paying enough attention to it. That's just basics 101 right there. So this year has really taught me as far as going through everything that I've been through. Some stuff I've divulged, some stuff I'll keep within myself, and I'll take it to the grave with me. But most of the stuff of which that I've dealt with this year, the hurdles and stuff, has really taught me that, again, life is fleeting, and time does not slow down for anybody. And I'm going to give can I give a motivation speech, dog? Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Man, I tell you, so I'm going to go ahead and block out the rest of the time. So go ahead and, hey, this is Nick. Nick's joined me tonight, and this is Nick. But this is my block now. I was talking to a guy today, and I was trying to motivate him to keep going and to keep pushing, and just in life in general, but in fitness as well. But let's relate this to life. And I said, you know what, buddy? I said, you know what? Here's the thing about it. I said, if you die today, if you die in this moment right here, I said, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have some family members and some friends that's going to miss you. Yes, that is a true statement. But I said, you know what's going to happen? This world is not going to stop spinning. I said, in fact, tomorrow you're going to get up, or not, you're not going to get up, you're going to be dead. But, right, absolutely, yeah, we're going to make a TV show. The world's going to get up, the sun's going to rise, people are going to go to work, people are going to go to the gym, people are going to go shopping, people are going to go through McDonald's, people are going to go through. Life is still going to go on. That's like life is still going to go on. So if you don't make it out tonight, if you die tonight, life is still going to go on tomorrow. And the thing about it is that whenever they bury you, they're going to put a tombstone, hopefully, if you got enough money, they're going to put a tombstone up right in front of you, and it's going to be kind of nice, and they'll have your name across there. And what I really felt drop in my spirit today was that if people have to come to the graveyard to remember that you were alive, then you never really lived while you were here. Now, that hit me hard because I'm like, you know what? Like, we step on this earth, and what do we do? What do most people do on earth, Nick? They literally grow up, they work themselves to death, they get married, they have a couple of kids, They dive into debt up to their eyeballs. Then they work their whole life trying to get out of it, and then they usually die by either heart disease, heart attack, stroke, or something like that. I think that's like the top 3 deaths in America. And literally, that's life. That is life, man. And what really, what spoke to me was that oftentimes you see it in movies, you see it in TV shows, you see it even in real life. People are always visiting graveyards. I remember when, and I remember this. And it really made me step back and go, you know what? I don't want my name on a stone and for people to go visit it to remember that I lived. I want to leave a legacy behind by the way that I lived, a standard in which I lived. You know what I'm saying? A standard in which of how I handled things, how I made it through things, how good of a dad I was, how good of a father I was, how good. That's the same thing, right? I meant to say husband, but hey, I really wanted to emphasize my kids. You know
okay.
What I'm
You're
saying?
excited. It's okay.
Absolutely, man. I've got hand motions going on right now. I'm almost preaching, bro. I really want that standard, and I think in order to leave that legacy behind, again, in 23 or moving forward, we have to really focus on the things that are important, the things that we can control, Nick. We can't control, like what you say all the time, we can't control what people do, but we can control how we react. We can't control that. I know you don't believe this. Let me put my motivation hat on really quick. But you control your happiness. You control your joy. You control your peace. And the moment in time that you let a construct or a situation or a person begin to step in and have enough power over your life to control all of that, guess what? You're losing in life. Because you are supposed to have control of that. And I think that's what, Nick, really has stood out to me more than anything this year is that, you know what? I control all of that. I control all of that. I control my peace, my joy, my happiness. If I have to do this podcast by myself, which I don't even know how that's even possible, but I've tried to figure it out maybe. But you know what? But I might be down for a little bit that you're not here, but you know what? That's not going to dampen my whole night. You know what? Like, I still got a life to live. I still got people to see. I still got things to do. And that's what, I want people to understand is that whenever you wake up in the morning and you sit on the edge of the bed, you have a decision to make. You can get up. You can put your shoes on. You can put your clothes on, hopefully in reverse order of what I just said. But you can do that, and, you can have a mindset that you're going to get up and you're going to have a good day. You're going to have a good day. Who cares who cusses you out? Who cares if McDonald's ran out of the last steak and biscuit? Is that still a thing? Do they have steak biscuits?
I don't know. Sure.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that, man. So, who cares? Who cares if gas went up 20 cents? Who cares if you have to sit in traffic for an extra 5 minutes? All of those things you can't control. But what can you control, Nick? You can control your happiness and how you respond to every situation. And you can control if it really gets under your skin or not, right? Mm-hmm. I think I'm done for a second.
Right.
All right.
Amen. I'll give you that. Since
somebody
gives it
go
to
ahead, man. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, and I think that's really important. As I was I think I mentioned, we talked a little bit about some of that last week. But, just remembering that, sometimes, things are put in our lives that seem so just frustrating and annoying and just stupid.
Yeah.
The one that hit me is when you were talking about gas prices, who cares if gas prices are 20 cents higher?
Right.
I guarantee you everybody listening to this cares if gas prices are 20 cents.
True, but
if at that point, are we trusting God with our finances?
Yeah.
Because then you have to remember, okay, well, gas prices 20 cents higher a gallon, but I have to get to work, I have to get this, I have to do that, I have to get my kid to the doctor, I have to do this, so I'm going to have to pay that money, I'm going to have to get that gas.
Right.
And so if you say that 20 cents a gallon gas is too impossible for you, then you're basically saying that God's not big enough to provide for you to make up for that deficit.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that we don't think about. That is something that is on the not even on the back burner. I don't even think it's on the stove. We're not thinking about that, because same thing that goes with taxes. I had this conversation with someone the other night. I was like, we all hate taxes. Taxes suck. Yep. We hate it with every single fiber of our being. We talked about taxes nearly destroyed the county.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel like we're getting taxed right now just sitting
right.
here.
We probably are, the lights are getting taxed, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But, we complain about taxes, but Jesus says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And, we all think, how could Jesus tell me to do something like that?
Yeah.
Does he not know know that taxes are theft?
Yeah.
Does he not know that taxes are wrong and illegal or should be illegal?
Right.
But what Jesus is saying there is if, hey, you can give your taxes, but God's still going to take care of you.
Right.
You're paying those taxes and you're like, how, if I had my gross income, how much better off I'd be?
Yeah.
Jesus is going to be like, you'd be as better off right now as you are then.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
going to provide for you now like I would provide for you if you had your gross income.
Yeah.
And if we are so concerned about taxes that we don't want to pay taxes and we're not going to pay taxes, then what we're saying is I don't trust God with my money. I don't trust God to provide for me. I don't trust Jehovah Jireh, the provider. I don't trust God with that. So, again, just understanding that, when those things come against you, when things are, coming against you, all the things that bothered you in 2022 or all the things that bothered you in 2019 or 2016 or whatever it may be, all those things, just really take a look at those and be like, how many of these things are me worrying about things and also saying I don't trust God with these areas of my life.
Absolutely.
And so just remembering that, those things that you struggle with on a daily basis, they don't matter because God is bigger than those problems.
Yeah.
God is bigger than those situations. God can provide for you. If gas is $5 a gallon, God's going to still provide for you like if it was $2.50 a gallon like it is right now in Hodgenville. Thank God.
Yeah,
but,
right.
God is still going to provide for you no matter what the situation is, no matter what odds are against you, because again, the weapon may be formed against you, but it shall not prosper, as it says in the Bible.
Yeah.
So, just understanding that, you faced a lot of challenges. We have faced a lot of challenges in 2022.
Yeah, that's the edited version,
right,
dog.
yeah,
you don't want to hear what I say.
You don't want to hear the background version, but the unedited, the stories.
The realness.
Yeah,
you don't want to hear the realness.
The everyday Christian and unedited. But, we ain't getting into that. But, again, we've been through a lot of challenges. We faced a lot of challenges, but we are still here. We are still breathing. Fruition Church is still here. It is still growing. It is still doing things. God is still doing things. And so, again, we get butthurt, all the time, or I don't say we, I get butthurt all the time because I look at our downloads all the time.
That's you, bro.
I'll be looking at the downloads all the time being like, God, we had 12 people download the podcast this week. Like, what's going on? Why am I doing this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But then, I think as we were kind of doing this podcast, I was reminded of, and I've told myself this a couple times, but, I was reminded of how important consistency is.
Yep.
Just putting your nose to the ground like Ruth did, putting your nose to the ground and just keep working. Keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you're going to be blessed.
Yep.
I truly believe that one day this podcast is going to kick off. The person listening to this right now that has the power to kick this podcast off, please, for the love of God, obey God and kick this podcast off. But again,
did you put a tearjerker in there? You literally just made people feel sorry enough. You're like, yo, it is you. You are the reason why this is not taking off. It is your fault. So you need to do what you. I love how you done that.
I try my best. But again, we were talking about sales as manipulation. I'm just kidding. But again, just I do truly believe that
Mm-hmm.
there is someone someday that's going to see this podcast and is going to share it, and the right person's going to see it, and they're going to share it, and then more and more people are going to see it, more and more people are going to listen. The purpose of us doing this podcast has always been to reach the lost and to connect them to Christ in a way that they've never connected to Christ before. Mm-hmm. And that was the whole purpose that we founded this thing. And we're at over 1,500 downloads, and we were expecting to see 1,000 by the end of the year.
Right. Yeah.
That we were at almost 600 more than we expected to get by the end of the year.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're in. Give me a second to get my statistics out here, but we're in almost half the United States of America with at least one person downloading an episode.
Right.
That's crazy. I never thought that we'd be blowing up like that. I'm going to call it blowing up because it's more than we thought.
It's blowing up for us,
right?
Bro.
Yeah. So we're talking about 28 states and DC. We're talking about 13 countries. That's where the podcast has been listened to by at least one person. This podcast that you're listening to now has been listened to in 13 different countries, including Netherlands, India, Zimbabwe, Vietnam, Brazil, Australia. It's been listening to states, 28 states, all across, of course, the United States, 28 different states.
Yeah.
And in the course of this year, we also created the website. Website's, blown up. We've had, almost 1,000 visits to the website. We've been visited in 18 countries, 25 states, and DC.
Yeah.
People from Spain, from China, Kenya, Bulgaria have visited our website.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy to think that, we have, I think sometimes we always get bothered by numbers. I know I get bothered by numbers, make fun of me for getting so bothered by numbers. But we also talk all the time about how Christianity, how important just the one is.
Yep.
How important that one person, maybe that person never downloads another episode of our podcast, but the episode they did listen to touched their lives in a way that changed them forever.
Right.
And trying to change your mindset about that. Again, I talk about that all the time with the youth, is that taking a negative, bad situation situation, just like God does, taking a negative, bad situation, flipping it on its head and turning it and thinking about it in a good, positive light. You know, so again, I know we struggle with a lot of those sorts of things, and I just wanted to get those things out there because I want the people listening, the people who have been loyal and listened, to know that, you know, this is a success and we are going to move forward. We're going to trust God with it.
Yeah.
We're going to be consistent with it as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to grow because there's millions of people, billions of people out there who don't know who Jesus is.
Well, and speaking of consistency, we're not going to do it next week.
Yeah, hey. But you know, consistency goes out the window, you know, every once in a while. But you know, we're you know, we want people to make sure they're spending time with their family and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Holidays coming up, all that good stuff, and, you know, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to try to, you know, come back with the podcast, and we're going to take what worked. And we're going to improve on that, just like we talked about at the very beginning of the podcast. We're wrapping it up here.
Yeah, right.
We're going to take what worked, you know.
So you're
this
wrapping
year.
it up.
Right,
Am I not going to get to talk?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Whatever.
But, you know, we're going to take what worked in the podcast in 2022, the first 50 episodes. This is our 50th episode.
Is it?
You know, yep, it is.
It's awesome.
I know, right? So, you know, this is our 50th episode. So we're going to take what worked in those 50 episodes, and we're going to take that and improve upon it, the things that didn't work. You know, we're going to leave that in the past. You know, we're going to keep moving forward with what works. We're going to keep moving forward with what moves people, what reaches people. And, you know, we really hope that Fruition Church is going to double in size again in 2023, just like it did in 2022.
Yeah, well, that's not a hope, man. I mean, that's just that's what's about to happen. You know, that's what's about to happen. But yeah, I mean, just to put it into perspective, right there. I mean, yeah, we've done a lot of you know, with a lot of crap that has happened in 2022. There has been a lot of blessings in 22, and you have to focus on that and move forward. And you know, like I said, for the most part, you know, whether you hear this or not, and whether you download this or not, you know, I mean, we're still here to kick another day and figure things out. And that's what it's all about. You know, that's what it's all about. And to focus on the good and build from the good and go from there. So, you know, it's all about what you want to make happen, man. If you want to get in the middle of it and like you said, put your nose to the ground, keep going, be consistent, and you're going to see results no matter what it's in. You're going to see results from it. And so that's what we're going to continue to do as a church, as a ministry, as just individuals, and as just everyday Christians and everyday people. You know, we're gonna go into 23 with a good, clean mindset of, you know, we're gonna learn from 22, we're gonna grow from it, and we're gonna be better from it. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen, especially with this podcast. We've got some people lined up to be guests. I think I think we should probably have the first 4 or 5 episodes taken care of next year. Like Nick said, we're going to go back and see some things that worked, some things that didn't. We're going to capitalize on it. And, man, I tell you what, I'm excited. I'm excited for the new year, excited for excited for just taking off and seeing where it goes. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all of your support. Again, the 50th episode. We're just going to keep trucking. And so we're going to take next week off and just enjoy the holidays and be with our family. We encourage you to do the same. And we will be back the first Tuesday night in January, which should be the 3rd, I think. January 3rd will be our new episode, and then we'll go from there. So we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we want you to be safe and enjoy time with your family. Again, thank you so much for supporting the Everyday Christian Podcast and for downloading. And we hope to be back, and we're going to be back at the first of the year to do it even bigger than what we have been. Tell your friends and family about it. And as always, check us out for Fruition Church on Facebook, Fruition Church of Hodgeville on YouTube, www.fruitionchurchky.org on the website, and you can download the podcast. We love you. And on behalf of my sidekick, Nick, and even myself, we love you so much. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you later.